Hello humans, Retro Rocket Man here with another video. This time round I'm doing a Buzz Lightyear from the new movie Lightyear. This one's a 12-inch figure made by Mattel. So straight out of the box, this is what he looks like. It's got a lot of nice detail. This is the XL01 version. So today I'm going to give him a bit of weathering and a little bit of extra paint detail and just make him look like he's straight out of the movie. I'll start by using some Tamiya chrome silver, and I'll be painting a lot of the flat grey plastic areas like this. I don't know what it is, it's some sort of monitor that he wears on his sleeve. So basically any of the lighter grey areas will get a silver treatment. Just carefully trying to stay within the lines. Just making sure that they're going to look more like metal than flat grey plastic. Lots of great sculpted details in this figure, and I'm sure we can bring them out. Even on some of the other sculpted areas, like around his sleeve, there's like a locking ring that should have a metal finish too, so I'm painting that also. Of course, the belt details, just to bring them out with just a moulded plastic, pretty unexciting. On the back, just all one colour, so we need to make that pop, so naturally give it a silver treatment too. And the locking ring on his collar for his helmet, which is unfortunately sadly lacking, but this is a helmetless version, so can't do much about that, but we're going to paint the locking ring naturally, and it will come up a treat. Now for some Tamiya dark olive, I think it is. This is a flat paint, and I'm just going to do some of the strapping on his harness and a little bit on the belt too, just to give it a bit more interest. You can see where I've already painted some of the silver buckles as well, and this is going to make the whole harness, with the contrast of the green and the silver, just make it pop. Also on his sleeve there's a strap to hold his scanner together. Now notice the figure comes with unpainted knee pads, so I've just mixed up a close purple to match. He's already got painted or coloured shoulder pads, so I'm just trying to match that colour. Not perfect, but it's pretty close. This will require a couple of different coats just to get the intensity I'm after, and also the same process on his elbows. Now the bottom of his soles, having looked at reference material online, which is very hard to come by, sort of an orangey red from what I could tell, so I've made up a pinky red, but when I give it the shoe polish treatment it'll darken right down as well. This is just going to create a nice contrast to the rest of the suit and just create that interest and detail that makes these things pop. I also had to paint a white strip line around the top of the sole as well, and also darker grey areas just to make it look more like how he appears on the screen. This also will require a couple of coats. There, it's looking better already. And some more just accented details, a couple of red highlights on the locking rings on his boots. Again, which I previously painted silver initially. And extra detail on the gloves as well. I was able to find more reference material online. He has these white patches on his gloves and a little bit of contrast strapping on the back of them as well. So I'm just using the same purple on top of his gloves that I used on his knees and elbows. So already I've had a go at weathering, and I've done one boot but not the other. As you can see there, one's clean, one's dirty. You can see how the shoe polish just makes it pop, brings out all those sculpted lines and details that you might ordinarily miss. So there's before and there's after, before and after. And it's looking really good. I like the way this is coming out. These lovely details just really do stand out with the extra weathering. It's amazing what the black shoe polish does. You can either leave it clean or have it dirty. My preference is dirty, looks better. And also on the glove there, just bringing out the line work and the sculpting with these lovely details, and it tarnishes down the silver, makes it look a little bit more real world. And the same on the other silver accents. Just weather it down with some shoe polish and it just makes it just a little bit more real world. So this is the process. I use a Kiwi black liquid shoe polish, and you just brush it on quite liberally and let it get in there, bring out all those lines, darken down the colours of your paint job naturally is what it's going to do. Let it soak in, and then you're going to be removing the excess before it dries completely. You need to work probably in parts because the shoe polish does dry quite quickly and it'll make your job harder to remove it down the track. And you can just see it getting to all those tread patterns on his boots. So with a dabbing motion while it's still wet and a rag, I'm taking off the excess, trying to leave as much as I can in the creases and line work of the boot, because I don't want to take it away completely. It creates that lovely contrast, but I also don't want to leave too much on there. So a dabbing motion tends to give you a texture as well. It doesn't take it off too cleanly. It leaves a lovely texture behind. So it's looking pretty good. Doing the wrist locking ring on his glove to tarnish down the silver paint, and then the glove as well, just to give that a weathered look. And the same process as well, just brush it on while it's still wet, remove it with a rag in a dabbing motion. It should reveal all those nice sculpted lines. This process I'll be repeating all over the figure. It's going to really weather Buzz down and bring out all that lovely detail that you otherwise miss because otherwise it's just moulded plastic. So my plan is just to do a little bit at a time, because otherwise it becomes a race against time to get the excess shoe polish off before it dries. applying the shoe polish to his torso now, on his actual fabric part of his uniform or his suit, and this will bring out all the sculpted folds and creases and stitching lines in the suit. Now on the back he has product information. Mattel and Disney decided to leave that on just for my own reference, but you could of course sand it off and you would never know. You can see how all the creases and folds are now starting to become more visible to the naked eye through this process. It does darken the plastic, it does stain it. Once we've removed the excess and it's dried, we'll go back and take it back a bit more with a damp scourer. Now I'm weathering his snood. This is what the official term for his headgear is. And again, just the shoe polish. I'm going to just remove it with the dabbing motion, trying to leave an acceptable amount behind to just accentuate the sculpt and the shape of his head. Trying to get into those tighter areas, I'm just using a skewer wrapped in the rag and then poking it through just to take the excess off under his chin. It's a very tight space to get into otherwise. As I mentioned earlier, now that the shoe polish is dried, it's a little bit too dark and dirty for me, so I want to take it back a bit more. So with a damp scouring sponge and a light handed approach, you don't go too hard. It just takes that excess shoe polish off and it hits those raised areas of his folds and creases, and you just keep sort of wiping it away until you get it to the desired level or effect that you want. So you can see that his left leg is done and the right leg is not. Now for a bit of brown shoe polish, and I use this method on the skin tones in the face. Just going to slightly darken down his skin and also give his complexion a bit more of a 3D finish. You're going to be able to see his mouth more clearly, the definitions in his nose and nostrils will start to pop, and we can also create that mottled skin appearance. So it's sort of giving some imperfections because he's far too clean. So I'm just going to brush this on, dab off the excess again, creating a texture of little imperfections in his skin, as well as leaving behind the excess in his mouth and nose area to make those stand out better. It'll also give him a hint of stubble on his chin. Just going back in and just doing a little bit more detail work, not quite as much shoe polish this time, and in a dabbing motion, just trying to give him a bit more depth. taking the excess off again to make it look more uniform. These are all subtleties that go a long way in the final result. Just giving his cheeks a bit of a rouge or a flush with some a little bit of pink. The same pink actually used on the soles of his boots, but a very lightly approach, and a little bit of tonal work on his temples, just to give him even more depth and warm up his face a little bit, trying to make him look a little bit less plastic. This is almost a dry brush approach, very, very subtle. So there you go, humans. This is my weathered and repainted version of Buzz from the Lightyear movie. This is the 12-inch figure made by Mattel, and I'm really happy with the way this came out. He's a much grungier look, been dirtied down and repainted in certain areas and given accents and highlights, and he looks a ton better. So I hope you enjoyed that video, humans. Thanks for watching it through to the end, for those of you that do. And this is Retro Rocket Man. See you next time. Over and out.